UFC 315 is upon us, and we see the decision machine, Belal Muhammad, come against Australia's own Jack Della Maddalena for the welterweight strap. We also see the women's pound for pound queen, Valentina Shevchenko, face off against French challenger Manon Fiorot for the women's flyweight championship. It's an action packed card, and we're covering it all this time on Fighting with Friends. Welcome back to Fighting with Friends, the undisputed African fighting podcast, champion of the world. It's UFC 315 taking place this Saturday at 4 a.m. South African time. And with me breaking down the card is the reigning defending undisputed vegan champion of the world. It is, of course, Brother Gaia. Brother Gaia.
I have a sale to haste, I have tax to pay, and I have a leave to live.
There we
Oi,
go.
BG. So it's always BG. We start.
At the top of the card. Banger card, by the way.
Banger of a card indeed. At the top of the card, we see, remember the name Belal Muhammad. The championship of the welterweight division is on the line here. Belal Muhammad 24-3-0, 5 wins by KO, 1 by sub, 6-fight win streak. Last time out beating Leon Edwards by unanimous decision. He's coming up against the number 5 ranked welterweight Jack Della Maddalena, who is 17-2-0, 12 wins by KO, 2 by sub, and he's 7-0 in the UFC. Last time out beating Gilbert Burns by KO. In my opinion, losing that fight just before he got the finish. But anyway, we are into another championship fight here, BG. So who's gonna walk away with this one, do you think?
Fascinating matchup, really. Just because I think Jack Dalla is a good prospect, a good challenge. For Bilal, especially for the stand, because Jack Dalla has very good takedown defense. He's very powerful, good boxing as well. And this may be his time, but and it's a big but, and it might be you might find this a bit strange. But I do think that Bilal is finally coming into his own. And as much as he's a boring guy and he's not the most entertaining person to listen to, when it comes down to fighting, the dude fights, and he game plans to win. I think his personality is overshadowing the way he fights. If I'm being realistic, because watching back the fight against Leon Edwards, I thought, oh, this dude is actually like he's on some levels here in terms of the IQ. Right, doesn't necessarily have the strongest hands, right? But he's got a gas tank that's almost unmatched in the welterweight division, if we're being honest. And the style, the way he mixes up that boxing to set up his takedowns and then to fight and to keep you there, it's championship levels kind of stuff, right? That being said, I do think he's inferior boxing when it comes to Jack Della Maddalena in this fight. I do think that he's gonna Bilal's gonna have to fight his ego a little bit in this one because this whole thing of I'm not gonna shoot for any takedowns and I'm just gonna box this guy out and prove to you why I'm the champion and da. I think I think he needs to be careful by doing that because if he does that, I think Jack stands a very good chance of putting him away, and we could end up having Bilal. Don't remember the name Muhammad come this Sunday. So yeah, fascinating matchup. Really fascinating matchup. My heart wants Jack Della Maddalena to win. I really want him to win because then that's going to guarantee Islam Makhachev into welterweight. So I want Jack Della to win really so badly. But for some reason, and I hope I'm fucking wrong. For some reason, I think Bilal Muhammad's going to win this fight. I think he's
Yeah,
going to game plan him.
I'm inclined to agree, bruh. And just to your point there about the striking, if we look at the Leon Edwards fight, Leon Edwards is touted by many as the greatest striker in the welterweight division at this time. And look, Bilal did more than hold his own on the feet there.
Was
Of course,
better.
not the same kind of striker, but yeah, it's just a testament to how far his striking has developed. And of course, his grappling is superior.
Yeah,
Training with the guys out of Dagestan, those guys don't play.
yeah.
So yeah, but I'm inclined to agree with you. Yeah, I do think Bilal's gonna get it done, and
Mm,
as usual, he probably get it done over 5 rounds,
yeah.
unanimous decision. But yeah, I'm also hoping for a JDM KO. I think I
Yeah.
mentioned to you coming into the card that I don't feel like he's quite deserving of a title shot. I think there's of course other guys who could have got the shot before him, but he's here, and yeah,
Mm,
it's a good guy, and I hope he can give a
mm,
good account of himself. And more than anything, I'm just hoping for a good fight. But yeah, I do think Bilal's going to get the job done here. BG, do you have any other thoughts on this one
yeah.
before we transition? Yeah.
I do. Just to your point about the deserving, I think he admitted that as well in an interview on Submission Radio that he was one fight away. He was happy to take the fight against Leon. That was the fight he wanted before a title shot. So he was pretty much very modest in the way that he described it. He was like, dude, I was literally in a camp for Leon, and then they phoned me and said, oh, we're going to turn your plans around. You're going to fight Belal. And he was like, whoa, um, what do I do here? And then he's just like, I'm just going to take the shot then, you know? So I
Mm.
think he, in his own right, he was pretty much on the same path of what you were saying that, yeah, I should actually get another fight before Bilal, but yeah, he is. And I think he was, personally, I think in terms of matchup wise, I'm not upset at the fight. I'm not upset at the matchup at all. I think that he is the next best, if I'm being honest. Shafkat's out, Ian Gaddy's on backup, but I think you can't really take away from Jack Della in terms of where he put himself. It's just that injury is why we didn't see enough of him, but now he's here, you know, so he's got the fight. And in terms of the boxing, in terms of the striking that you mentioned with Leon Edwards, technique wise, he's the best striker in the welterweight. In terms of you want the best looking technique, and that it's just the nicest to watch, and it's by the book, it's textbook. But
Mm.
effectiveness, MMA striking, Bilal's striking is better in terms of effectiveness because Bilal's going to strike in a way that Leon wants to be more precise. He wants to set up a one perfect shot, maybe a two punch combination, which he loves to throw with a right into a hard left into the body. Leon loves that. He's got a good 1-2. He's got a good left and then a left punch and then to a left high kick. But Bilal's going to throw a lot more at you, and then it's going to open up a lot more avenues, which is the grappling. You know what I mean? And that ultimately is an MMA fight. If they were fighting pure kickboxing, Leon will fuck all of them up. But it's not pure kickboxing. This is, MMA. You have to think about what happens if I grab you. What happens if I go into the void and you can't kick me? You have to elbow
Yeah.
me here. That's the most range I'm going to give you now is an elbow. So it changes the whole dynamic. And I think that's why Bilal beat him. And it's a very dangerous thing to fight against that style. That's why this makes a very interesting matchup. And that's why I'm leading towards Bilal to win.
Yeah, yeah, and that kind of does open the can of worms about what is better in MMA: a great striker or a good striker who can grapple, who's a great
Mm,
grappler. Because it does change the way that guys approach fights when
exactly.
somebody has this kind of grappling prowess. So yeah, I mean, from what it sounds like, what we're both saying here is that Bilal's just got too many avenues, too many
Yeah.
streams to kind of win the fight. So likely looking for him to get it done here. I haven't checked any betting numbers yet, but we can
Me
get to that
neither.
in a second. So yeah,
But
bro, we
Jack,
both.
last
Yep.
thing on Jack, sorry, Eddie.
Mm.
Last thing on Jack, 17 fight win streak. He only lost 2 fights in his career, and that was the first 2 fights of his career,
Yeah.
right? And he lost those fights by getting gassed out, and then eventually the fighters came back. But he was putting it on those fighters, and he started as a grappler first before becoming a striker. So it's a very intriguing matchup, bro. As much as I'm saying Bilal is going to win the fight, it's going to be a hard fight for Bilal, but I think he's going to win it. I don't want to completely overlook Jack.
Yeah, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The betting numbers, as we can see, Belal Muhammad starting as the favorite there is 1.53, and I would say that's a fair line. I think Jack Della is quite good value there, actually at 2.55. So yeah, if you are betting, be careful. As we always say, gamble responsibly. And yeah, like and subscribe to Fighting with Friends. Get us monetized so we can get Brother Gaia a new microphone over there.
Yeah.
Get me some new clothes and yeah, all those nice things, ladies and gentlemen. But okay, BG, we'll keep it going then, and we'll go to the pound for pound queen here, Valentina Shevchenko, putting up a flyweight title here against French challenger Manon Fiorot. The champion is 24-4-1. She has 8 wins by KO, 7 by sub. Last time she beat Alexa Grasso. I think that was by unanimous decision, if I remember
Yes.
correctly.
Yes.
And she's, of course, coming up against Manon Fiorot, fierce contender here. She's
Yeah.
12-1-0, 7 wins by KO, 7 first round finishes, 7 fight win streak. Last time out beating Erin Blanchfield by unanimous decision. So yeah, I've been watching the build up to this, and Manon Fiorot tends to believe that Valentino Shevchenko is kind of past the best here,
Yeah.
and she's lost a step or two. Is that a fair
Mm.
statement, or do you think that the champion's going to show her why she's the champ and why she's the challenger?
I can see why my non is saying that. Valentino is 37 years old. And if you look at the way that they fight, they almost carbon copy of each other. It's just the one is younger, but I do think Valentina is more again, like Leon Edwards, in terms of technique, she's smoother, more cleaner in terms of how she does her stuff. But Manon's got that ferocity and that just that aggression that Shevchenko had when she was, early 20s or mid late 20s, going into her early 30s, which is when she was in her prime. But I mean, if you look at the fight against, and this could be recency bias, but if you look at the fight against Alexa Grasso, who I thought was probably going to be a tough fight for Shevchenko, I did predict it to win the fight. She went in there and 5-0'd her in a way that was like, it was like, you actually want to see them fight again because it was like that bad of a beating. And if you think about Valentina Shevchenko, in my opinion, she has to go down as the second greatest women's athlete in UFC next to Amanda Nunes, because the only two losses bar Alexa Grasso was against Amanda Nunes. She was the only one that took Valentina to school, right? So other than that, everyone else fell to Valentina's mercy. So Manon Fiorot has got that style, man. She can make it such an ugly stand-up fight that is going to force Valentina to wrestle. At which point, I think Valentina is actually going to beat her there. Granted that Manon Fiorot's grappling defense is actually really good, and if you look at the last two fights, when she fought against Blanchfield, and there was not, what was the one before that? Manon Fiorot was introducing takedowns. She was actually trying to show that she's developing and not just coming from a Thai boxer. She's also moving into very good MMA grappling. But I do think that Valentina has got that experience when it comes to that ground game. It's a little bit higher. You don't see a lot of women in the UFC putting people putting fighters into crucifixes and then beating them up. You know what I mean? Valentina does that a lot of the time with a lot of her opponents, who shows you the level of grappling that she's at. And dude, she's a champion for a reason. This is going to be a 10th title fight. You know what I mean? She has 9 in total at the moment. That's a lot of experience as a champion. You're taking on different kinds of opponents. You know what I mean? So yeah, as much as I think Manon Fiorot is going to be one of the toughest tests for after Grasso, um, I still think Valentina's going to win, 80. I still think that she's the champ for a reason. And the mindset that she has, the way she speaks about being a martial artist, she's not speaking about glory or fame, or she's just speaking about trying to become the best fighter that she can be consistently, and take it as far as she can go. And when you're fighting someone like that, it's kind of hard to beat a fighter like that. Corey also talks about it. Corey Sanders also talks like that. It's not about I want to be the best in the world. It's more about I want to be the best fighter that I know I can be, and if that means I have to go through considerably the best athletes, and I'll do it. But it's not about getting a title, and it's hard to beat fighters like that, bro. And Manon is chasing a title, not chasing to be the best fighter. So let's see how that plays out. But I'm gonna have to go with Valentina Shevchenko again. It's hard to bet against her.
Yeah, agreed there, BJ. And just to your point about the grappling, we did see Valentina really put on a grappling masterclass against Alexa Grasso. Like you said, she 5-0'd her, was absolute schooling. And that was a big reason was because of the grappling that she displayed on the night. And then also just that point about not, because if you're not worried about your opponent, it does kind of alleviate the anxiety when you just kind of focused on what can I do. If
Yeah.
basically if I'm at my best on the night, this person is not going to beat me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Literally.
again, when you're coming up against someone with that mindset, it is very difficult to sway you. But having said that, the bookies are believing here, BG, that Valentina is the underdog at 2.25. Manon Fiorot is
Again.
1.6. And so a similar line there to Belal Muhammad and Jack Della Maddalena. What do you make of that, bro? Why do you think? Is it just because of the age, because of the veracity of the challenger here? Where do you think the bookies line is coming from here?
I think it's purely based on, I think, the two things you just mentioned. It's the age. But I just realized that Manon Fiorot is 35. I thought she was a lot younger. I thought she was like 31, 32, but she's 35.
She's
There's a 2-year
35.
difference. 35, yeah. So there's a 2-year
Wow.
difference between the two of them, right? But Manon Fiorot does fight a little bit more youthful. She does fight a little bit more youthful, purely based, if you look at the tapes since she's been in the UFC, right? She's lost the first fight, and then she's gone on a tear since that. And she's hella aggressive. She's shades of what Valentina was like when Valentina was early 30s, late 20s. Like, she just goes forward, high kicking people to a fucking different stratosphere, spin kicking you the whole time, just looking scary. She looked like the bullet Valentina, you know what I mean? As Valentina got older, she started to integrate a lot more grappling, a lot more, which is masterful. I love it, actually, because it makes her even more difficult to beat. But Manon Fiorot is the kind of person, she's taller, she's got the reach, and she strikes like Valentina, aggressive, pushes forward, and she's willing to take that punches to get in there and really put it on you. And I think that's probably why the bookers are thinking that Manon Fiorot is gonna kind of force Valentina to fight the way Valentina fought Grasso Valentina's first fight. You know what I mean? Valentina was very reactive. She was very defense minded in that fight. She was losing the striking battle in that first fight, and then it made her almost react to a lot of takedowns, which then she got reversed. And that purely came from Alexa Grasso on the front foot and making Valentina fight backwards. I think that's what they think Manon's going to do, because that's exactly how Manon fights. That's what she's best at. You know, that's her number one attribute. So that's why they're probably making her the favorite in this fight. But she's going to come up against someone that's got an entire encyclopedia on how to beat people, and I think that's hard to fight against.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we're both going for the Valentina victory here. BG, how does she get it done?
Decision. 5-round
Decision.
decision. Yeah.
Fair, fair. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your co-main event. And if you, of course, have any thoughts on that one, let us know in the comment section. Please like and subscribe to Fighting with Friends, and we will keep it moving now to the king of Rio. This is Brazil. We got Jose Aldo, number 11 ranked bantamweight. Epic record here, 32-9-0, 17 wins by KO. 12 first round finishes. Last time out, he did lose to Mario Batista by split decision. Mario Batista putting the grappling on him there and kind of just doing what he needed to do to get the job done. He's coming up against a very promising prospect here, Aiemann Zahabi. I believe he's the nephew of Faraz Zahabi, so of course training under Faraz. He's 12-2-0, 6 wins by KO, 2 wins by sub, 8 first round finishes in a 5-fight streak. Last time out, beating Pedro Munoz by unanimous decision. So, bruh, it is the king of Rio. He's been around for a while. Does he still have one more victory in him, do you think? Or is Aiemann Zahabi going to introduce the new school into the UFC here?
I don't even know if you can call it new school, because Aiemann Zahabi is 37 years old, bro.
I
Only
mean,
2 years
new
than
one.
Jose.
I just mean in terms of experience, maybe, in the UFC.
I don't know. It depends on what he does. I think if Zahabi, is he the nephew? I thought he was the younger brother. But if he goes in there and takes a page out of all the guys who have beaten Jose Aldo, then he's gonna beat him, which is literally just keep him up against the cage. You know, elbow, fight in the clinch. So don't really let Aldo dictate the center of the octagon. You know, don't get starstruck by the leg kicks or whatever you're gonna. You know what I mean? Because if you look at the last couple of guys that has beaten him, that's what they did. There's only fighters like Piotr Jan and them that have, and then Max, that would stand and bang with him and really, like, you know, fight him a full stand-up war and beat him that way. But the other guys, it sounds like a cowardice way to win, but it really isn't. It's just that, you're not really gonna be able to stand up as good as Jose Aldo. I don't think so. Aiemann Zahabi has got the same striking pedigree as Jose Aldo, to be quite honest. So I just think that he's gonna have to just utilize the grappling exchanges, fight in the clinch, knee in the clinch, try and get a takedown, put Jose in a position where he can't really strike with you, and then you're probably gonna walk your way to a decision win. Maybe even get him to, because he does tie out in the third round. There's a big chance of finishing Jose in the third round, especially at this age. We all know now, like we've seen him fight, and his last. You can go back and look at his last 10 fights, and the third round is where he gasses out a lot. So there's a chance for Zahabi to win. It's in that third round to stop the fight, but obviously he's gonna have to get there. Jose's most dangerous in the first round. Good boxing, good leg kicks. You know you can do it. It's hard to bet on Jose at this stage, because people can't take him down, but they will fucking stall with him against the cage for as long as they can, and they win the fight. You know what I mean? If Mario Batista and Oaks like that and are able to get wins of him by doing that, surely other fighters are like, we're just gonna do the same thing. The
Yeah.
judges are not gonna score against it. He's not gonna strike me. He's just gonna defend, and I'm gonna keep winning like that. And I won't be surprised if that's what they do, because I just think it won't be in any fighter's best interest, if we really are that great as a striker, to go up punch for punch against Jose. You know what I mean? You're giving him such a big chance to beat you if you're doing that, unless you max all the way. But I don't think that the Sahabi brothers or Sahabi family is going to game plan by just trying to strike with him. But maybe they do that, and they'll be like, saying like, "Oh, did you see that knockout from Sahabi?" I just don't see it happening, really. I just think he's going to decision Jose.
Yeah, yeah. I think Batista kind of laid the blueprint there to say like if you do get to the later rounds with Jose Aldo, it's all about grappling. You just got to neutralize his striking, and yeah, then
Mm.
you pretty much have the job done there. But having said that, if he does really put on a statement performance and finishes Jose Aldo, he does kind
Mm.
of elevate himself into that top 10. And then, yeah, he might be able to even call up the top 5 opponent, depending on how
Yo.
well it goes. Yeah, but stranger things have happened in the UFC these days, so you never know. Speaking of stranger things, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Jedi Knight.
Hello, hello. I'll go to sorry I'm late, bro. Other things happen. Mm.
Nah, it's fine.
Other
AD
things
can
are
get
happening
you.
all the time, yeah. Jedi Knight. So
Yeah.
yeah, Brad, Jedi, just give us a quick catch up there. Who and why for Belal and JDM as well as Valentina and
Yeah, so for Bilal JDM, I don't know if I saw right, but I think they got um, three named Jack as the favorite.
no,
No, good. I was like,
no.
what the fuck? It doesn't make any sense. But I think on Betway, he is. I don't know. I must double check. But anyway, I think the fight's gonna go pretty much the same as Bilal's other fights. He's gonna try and wrestle and control the pace and where the fight goes. It's gonna be up to three named Jack to defend the takedowns and stuff. So I think Bilal by decision is probably the
Yeah.
or most likeliest outcome of this fight for me. Um, then going to the ladies' co-main, which is Shevchenko and Manon, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah, so I think Manon's the favorite for this, which is also very
he
weird.
is. Yeah,
Very strange. I've never been a fan of her. I think she's kind of sloppy and slow. She's just very awkward. She's a very awkward style to fight because she's very much taller than the other ladies, and she makes herself very difficult to take down. And she likes to keep them at the end of her strikes. Um, she's obviously going up against arguably the best striker in the division. Um,
Best fighter.
yeah, I think the GOAT is just gonna piece her up. I think round one and round two is gonna be the most competitive rounds. We might even try and see Shevchenko trip her down in the later rounds and control her on the floor. But I think she's just going to use all of her weapons and just be a Shevchenko, masterclass. I think decision also here is the most likely as outcome.
mm-hmm. All right, and finally, there, Jedi, the one we're on now. Do we need to ask you here, or is it gonna be another contest?
Yeah, so I mean, both guys are kind of late in their careers. Obviously, Jose is almost on the way out. I don't know why he's still fighting. Trying to rewind the clock or something. I don't know, bro. It's good to see him competing, whatever. He's still dangerous in the 3 round fight. You know what I mean? It's still difficult to beat him in a 3 round fight. And he's fighting Zahabi, who's I think the younger brother of Faraz.
Yeah,
Um, who also is very well skilled and experienced. I think he's more jiu-jitsu based, but I think Jose will get him on a decision. Yeah,
We hope, bro. I want him to move him. I want Jose to end his career, bro.
I think I think Jose is gonna get him on a decision, and if he wins, he'll probably retire.
Yeah, I
uh,
want him to do exactly that.
how does Faraz Zahabi look like Ariel Helwani, bro? Hey,
Uh,
hey,
Proper.
that must be the
exactly.
Canadian
So,
thing, bro.
cuck, man. But yeah, okay. I'm actually gonna go for Zahabi to get it done here, boys. I think that he's gonna
That's what I
Mm.
utilize
said.
grappling
I'm,
in
Yeah.
after it goes past that round and a half. But yeah, I'm also hoping for Jose Aldo victory. But yeah, I do
mm.
think Zahabi. So Jedi, final pick is for Aldo here, you say?
Yeah, I think Aldo by decision. I think Zahabi's going to have a difficult time taking him down, firstly. And if he does take him down, Jose is very good at getting back up. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
You see, the thing is, no, it's not really about whether you can take it. Obviously,
Yeah,
if you can take him down, it's fine. But like Bautista did, he didn't really manage to take him down. He just
he
held him
didn't.
up against the fence
Mm.
and kind of grinded it out from them and
That's
neutralized Jose's
that's
best
how
movement.
most of them beat him.
So
That's what I
yeah,
said. Yeah.
it's not even really about takedown defense. It's
Yes,
just about
nullifying
holding him,
him.
getting
Yeah,
close to
just
him, CJ. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I can't
neutralizing
let you get
Jose.
close.
Yeah.
But okay, we'll keep it moving then, boys, and we'll go to a
Huh?
women's flyweight bout, and here we see
Massive.
Alexa Grasso, number one ranked flyweight. She's 16-4-1. She's got 2 wins by KO, 4 wins by KO, 2 by sub, 5 first round finishes. Last time out, as we said, she lost to Valentina Shevchenko by unanimous decision. She's coming up against my current favorite women's fighter, baby girl. Yeah, it's Natalia Silva, 18-5-1 on a 12-fight streak.
Yeah, dude.
Last time out, she beat Jessica Andrade by unanimous decision. Absolute striking masterclass there. And I think she's really the one who's going to revive women's MMA. So, yeah,
Mm.
I'm a little biased, of course, but I'm going to go for Natalia Silva to win here. And I think she's going
Mm.
to get it
Why?
done. But once again, I just think her striking's too dynamic. Her footwork's too good. And I
Yeah.
think the last display that we saw from Alexa Grasso was really nothing to be impressed by. So I think Natalia Silva's got the momentum coming into this fight. I think she's got the skill set. And I think we're looking at the future flyweight champion here, boys. Jedi Knight, I see you have a different opinion. Let me know your thoughts, bro.
Um, I mean, I can see all your pros as to why you think Silva's going to win the fight. Um, it's going to be a test for her. I think this is going to be probably the toughest opponent she's going to come up against, and also someone who's been in there with the GOAT 3 times. Um, and that's no easy task on its own. Um, I think, I don't know, bro. For me, it's a pick and fight. For me, it's like I can't say this one's outright gonna be better than the other one because you in the first fight we would have said the same about Shevchenko versus Grasso. Fought it like with all the striking accolades that Shevchenko has, she still got knocked out.
She got tapped out.
Um, eh,
She got
tapped
tapped
out.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean she got knocked down first, right?
Down,
And
yeah.
then she got tapped out.
Yeah.
So it's
Mm.
so if Grasso can go all those rounds with Shevchenko and not get knocked out or pieced up badly, then what is stopping her from holding her own against Natalia? You know what I mean? So for
Mm.
me, I think it's a pretty even fight. Um, and yeah, we're gonna see who comes out.
Mhm.
Yeah, look, like you can understand my point of view, Jedi. I can understand yours. It's definitely not going to be an
Yeah,
easy fight, bro. But like I said, baby girl, bro, she's just got too her
yeah, yeah.
footwork's too slick, striking's too dynamic. She's got so much momentum coming into this fight. So
But
yeah, I'm looking
also,
forward to
so
another
you
masterclass.
saying it's gonna be by decision,
Mm.
pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Okay,
You think
Brother guy,
okay, we'll see.
Jade thinks Grasso is gonna get the finish here?
I don't know. I don't know. I just know it's gonna be very like for me. It's a very even fight. I don't think anyone
It
can
is.
call it here. I don't think
It is
it's
an
clear
even
cut
fight.
for anyone.
Mm.
look, like I
Probably.
said, I'm a little bit biased, but PG, maybe you can be the
Yes.
Yeah.
voice of the reason here. Let us know, bro.
Okay, I'll try. I'll try. Hopefully, my perspective is a voice of reason. But I think it's a fantastic matchup from the UFC here. Good title implications. Natalia Silva is well deserved of this matchup. If she wins here, she fights either Valentina or Manon. Or if Valentina loses, they might give her an immediate rematch. But she wins. Natalia wins here. She gets Valentina Shevchenko next. Um, Keys to victory. I think for Natalia Silva, one thing about her in this division, Jedi, I'm gonna agree with AD. She's the most dynamic striker in the division. I know Manon Fiorot strikes really well, but she's a bit aggressive, which sometimes overextends too much for me. With Natalia
I
Silva,
don't. Yeah, I don't think she's good.
you don't think Manon's good? She's good. She's good.
Nah.
I mean, she's a
Natalia
title
Silva.
contender, bro. Number
Natalia
one, right?
Silva.
Number
Sorry,
one
BG.
bullshit.
This
She's
is
not
number
good,
one
bro.
bullshit.
She was number one contender when there was only like four contenders in this division. You know what I mean?
Okay, fair. PG, please continue.
Um, so with Natalia Silva, one thing she does really well in this division, which we don't see from the other women really, is the ability to not get hit and the ability to defend takedowns. She hasn't been taken down in the UFC so far. She's got a 92% takedown defense. With a 17 fight win streak, I mean, like, come on. Not 17, she's on a, what's that, 12 fight win streak. That's impressive. And if you look at the last few fights in the UFC, women have tried to grab her and like, they don't even get close. And then she pieces them up. Her jab is very educated. Kicks are very dynamic. She can throw side kicks, spin kicks, high kicks all over the place. I think Alexa Grasso hits harder. She's got the proper boxing techniques, which gives her an advantage. She is the better grappler, but she's going to have to get to those hips first, which everyone has failed to do in the UFC. So it makes for a very intriguing matchup, and I can understand why you're going with Natalia Silva 80. And just purely based on how her ability to hit and not get hit, she might just walk herself to a decision here by just outstriking Alexa Grasso and make Grasso miss a lot. That being said, Grasso hits hard, bro, and she dropped Shevchenko twice. So I think if she can really land on Natalia here, she could maybe get this fight close to a stoppage and maybe get a takedown and put the fight in her domain. It's very entertaining to think about, very intriguing to think about as well. Alexa Grasso she's been the champion. She's got that pedigree of how to beat people, and she's got that dog in her to withstand anything and actually put it on you. And that's where I can see where Jed's point makes a lot of sense. And she's gone 3 fights with Shevchenko. I thought she lost the last 2 fights quite convincingly, to be honest with you. Even that second fight was a draw. I thought she lost that fight. It wasn't a draw. Shevchenko really beat her up in that fight as well. So for that, I don't want to put too much stock into that. She's held her own against Shevchenko in 3 fights. I just didn't see it. Only in that first one, if I'm being honest. And so based on that, it's going to be a very even fight. And I'm slightly tipping it towards Natalia Silva just because she moves around a lot better than Shevchenko. She's hard to touch. She's hard to grab. She's like a Dominic Cruz, bro. She's difficult to beat in terms of if you're going to go all the rounds. You're going to have to like make it one of the most ugliest fights in the world. You know what I mean? Like grab her hair, just like tease her, pinch her when you're in that grappling exchange. It's like just make it ugly for Natalia Silva because if you're gonna try and chase her down, you're gonna chase the whole fight. And this is 3 rounds, not 5 rounds. So yeah, I think Natalia is just gonna walk through and just be the cleanest strike and win on decision by having the most significant strikes.
Nicely done, BG. And we looks like we've got the baby Sai with us today, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to the baby Sai.
Yay, Sai.
But all right,
No, why
boys.
is she not?
Let us know in the comments there, ladies and gentlemen, your thoughts on this one. As you can see, quite a lot to discuss. But we're gonna go to the next fight. BG, unfortunately, your guy Joel Alvarez pulling out. I believe last week was announced that he's not gonna be competing here. So yeah, his BSD is 13-3-0. He's got 4 wins by KO, 9 wins by sub. He's on a 2-fight slide. Last time out, getting absolutely destroyed in Paris
Yeah.
by our guy Manny Moicano. He's coming up against Carl Prepolek, who I don't know too much about, to be honest. He's a Canadian native. He's 12-7-0. But yeah, that's about as much as I can tell you about the lad. So BG,
Yeah.
BSD, or Carl Prepolek.
Nah, BSD is gonna get a first round finish here, bro. Carl Prepolek, I only found out that this was a replacement fight literally like 5 minutes ago, if I'm being honest. I didn't even know that Joel Alvarez pulled out. I'm very sad and gutted for that because I wanted to see Joel Alvarez fuck up BSD, but we're not going to get that now. In terms of Carl, he's on a 2-fight slide. He lost his only 2 fights in the UFC, and his last loss was against Austin Hubbard, who is basically a fucking UFC reject, then came back and then lost again. So honestly, how can you bet on someone who's lost twice to someone who's also been in and out of the UFC on multiple occasions? It doesn't really ring well for me. So I think BST looking to bounce back. He's ranked number 13, so he's going to want to hold the rank and possibly climb a little bit. So I expect Beastie to want to go in there and win in devastating fashion to get back into that status of being a fan favorite. And I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be a crowd that's gonna be heavily favored so much for Carl, just because he's French, and we know there's a lot of French natives in Canada, so it might just be a split crowd. And you know, that being said, I still think BST, regardless, is really gonna go and put in a performance and get a very good finish here. So yeah, BST for the win.
Yeah, definitely looking like lambs to the slaughter here. Jedi Knight.
Yeah, no, for me, I think it's gonna be a snooze fest.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a snooze fest. They're just gonna turn each other. It's gonna be very boring, especially when there's a French guy.
Okay.
French
Look, I
is so
mean,
boring.
the line is telling us here that
Yo,
look at that. Not much of a chance for Carl Pripelli. So
Yeah,
yo,
that's
8.25.
if you're feeling brave, might be worth chucking a 20 on Carl Pripelli. You never know what can happen. BSD is also on a 2-fight slide, so you might hit him once in the face, and he's probably thinking, "Oh
Yeah, but
shit, I remember this." But yeah, it's look again. I'm not saying it's likely. It's not likely. You can see by the line, but it's solidly going for a BSD win. But I'm just saying, you know, the odds are
yeah,
so wide. You might as well, if you're going to be betting, put a little bit on Carl just for the fuck of it. If you wanna,
I don't see
it's up
it.
to you.
But
Yeah, I don't see it either. But we've been
BST's
wrong
last two
before.
losses. His last two losses were against two top contenders in the lightweight division, Dustin Poirier and Manny Moicano. Kyle's last two losses were against two people that probably don't even fight in the UFC anymore. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. I'm just trying to kind of solace a little bit here because it is, pretty much a foregone conclusion. But yeah, if you have any thoughts on that one, ladies and gentlemen, let us know in the comments. BG, I believe you've got some honorable mentions on the prelims you'd like to get to, so let us
let's
go
go
for
for
that.
that. Okay, some honorable mentions featured main event on the prelims, not the early prelims, the prelims. Canada's own Captain Canada, Mike Malott, taking on Charles Ratke. I didn't really know much about Charles, but I just wanted to highlight that Mike Malott is fighting, and I mean he's a recognizable name. Not really the most favorite, if you've been honest. The guy has been on a bit of a up and down in the UFC at the moment. But I mean, he bounced back against Trevin Giles. Wasn't the most entertaining fight, if I remember correctly. So I'm looking to see him actually, correct that wrong and put in a fantastic performance here against Charles. But Charles has got some knockout power, bro. He beat Smaltzberger by KO in his last fight. But Smaltzberger is also another fighter who I don't know if he's still fighting in the UFC. But this should be a good stand and bang kind of fight. I think Mike might realize he doesn't want to stand and bang with Charles after the first 35 seconds, and I expect him to do a lot of grappling after that. At which point, I think he might get tired when he comes to the third round and probably lose the fight after that. But let's go, Mike. Then
Jedi,
let's go.
sorry, Jedi, do you have any
Hmm?
thoughts here, or do you know these guys?
No, no, bro, no one cares about these people.
Brasil don't care about sports.
All right, okay.
Nobody want to watch that.
Riot, take us.
Okay, let's go to the co-main event of that prelims. Jessica Andrade, Brazil, former champ, taking on number 7, number 14, pound for pound. She's taking on Jasmine Juicer Devicius. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Why is he
Jasmine
playing like that?
Devicius. Ranked number 9, and she's on a good streak at the moment. I mean, she's been fighting really well. She's been leveling up progressively. She did really well against Mayra Boyna Silva. Granted, Mayra Boyna Silva didn't look really good in that fight, if you've been honest. But Jessica Andrade, if I'm not mistaken, she lost to Natalia Silva in the last fight. Yep, so there we go. But before that, she's also been a little bit up and down. Got some wins there. Lost against Mackenzie Dern also in the last 3 bouts. So she's looking to bounce back, But I think this is going to be a fascinating matchup, obviously, because we know Jessica Andrade has got good boxing, very powerful boxing, but she is there to be hit and she is there to be taken down as well. A lot of her losses has come from being taken down. I think Natalia Silva was one of the very few athletes that actually pieced Jessica up on the feet, which speaks volumes to Natalia Silva, by the way. But in this fight, I expect Jasmine to take the opportunity in full swing. It's going to be tough. She's going to have a very tough matchup, but I expect it to actually win the fight on decision and utilize a lot of her grappling. She needs to be very careful because the hands of Jessica Andrade is powerful, and Jasmine, I don't know if her striking defense really holds up that well. So I'm keen to see how she does when she does get hit by Jessica Andrade. I hope that she does good in terms of bouncing back from it and get some good takedowns because I want to see her climb the rankings a little bit more. Personally, I think Jessica is at that twilight part of her career now, and I expect her to kind of look to close the curtains very soon. So for that reason, I want Jasmine to actually win. But it's going to be a tough one for her. And I think that's the only honorable mentions I have on the prelims and early prelims. I know we have Madauskas taking on Ian Kutubala, so that should be a little bit of a banger for the fans as well. And then the Navajo Nation, Navajo Joe Sterling out of City Kickboxing taking on Ivan Urslan. That should also be quite entertaining. So the prelims are packed with some good fights, but the early prelims not so much. So I'm looking forward to see some good fights this weekend, nonetheless.
Fair play, fair play. And if you have any thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, let us know in the comments. But boys, as always, I'm gonna go to some final thoughts and a pre-fight rating for the card. Jedi Knight.
Yeah, I wish Jessica and Raj a lot of success with the cocktail bar chain, and we'll see who wins between the title fights, bro. That's what we kind of looking for. Oh, and
Yeah,
Grasso and who's it? Other girl she's fighting again?
Natalia
Exactly.
Silva.
How dare you? How dare you, sir? Jedi, out of 10, how much rating you giving this card?
8.5.
Brother Gaia.
Uh, Final rating, final thoughts. I think it's a fun card, really. I think the main card is stacked. Other than the Mike Malott, the BSD versus Kyle fight. I was hoping that it was Joe Alvarez. The prelims are actually really good in terms of that four fights in the prelims. The early prelims not so entertaining. So I'm gonna give it a 7. I'm not gonna give it that much of a higher than that, really. We have to see if it goes up come this weekend. And then my final thoughts, yeah, 2 title fights, bro. Enough said. That's enough to make
Yeah.
me want to watch it.
Fair play. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you have made this far in the video, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe to Fighting with Friends. Watch the podcast every day. Joe Rogan. But for myself, Brother Gaia, Jedi Knight, Brother Babu, and all of us here at Fighting with Friends, we are, in fact, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Bye bye.